right, we'll get this meeting started. Sorry for a little bit of a late start. Traffic is often a challenge. We have a quorum. Have all board members had a chance to review the agenda, and is there a motion to adopt, or are there any amendments? Dr. Dunaway, motion to adopt. Dr. Busk, second. All in favor? Okay. Have all board members had a chance to review the minutes from July 23rd, 2026? And are there any amendments, or is there a motion to adopt? Dr. Bryan, motion to adopt. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So we have three. Yeah. We can? Okay. Okay, so we can do it next month then? Okay. Do it next month. Okay. So it'll be tabled. Discussion, OAG report.
Good morning. You all should have the report in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on this, but we're really happy in light of, over 400 investigative files that we're at that 8-month mark. We aim for 6 to 12 months. So the fact that we're at 8 months with that many files, we're really pleased with our team.
Okay. Any questions, council? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director's reports.
Good morning. My report is in SharePoint for you to review. Nothing out of the ordinary. Most of the PGTs are wrapping up. Everybody's working, so that's about the only outstanding thing. If you have any questions.
Okay. Any questions?
While I have the floor, I also would like to publicly thank my team and Kiko for helping out. During the recent flooding, we were conscripted to help out with the 211 calls and helping victims of the flooding do their paperwork. And my team did an excellent job, and PLA as a whole being drafted to do that. I'm just really proud of my staff and the agency as a whole to help out like that. I wanted to make sure everybody knew.
Here, here. Yep. Well done. Yep. Above and beyond. Okay. SB 282 discussion. So this is kind of just an FAQ. And I think we're going to maybe discuss it in more detail next month, I believe she said.
Yeah, Amy said just review the information that's in the packet. That's kind of what's coming in through emails and people reaching out with questions. So kind of review the information so that we can discuss it at the next meeting.
And I mentioned this before, but I do like these comparative references, how Texas defines things and how Virginia defines things and so forth. So I think that will be helpful too, just to see what other states are doing. Okay. And then IMLCC commissioner discussion.
Yeah, there's some information in SharePoint. Basically, we can have 2 commissioners that we need to appoint. It can be a board member. We are a relatively small board compared to other states. So if no one is available to do it, we have other ways that we can staff it with, PLA people if needed. But there's information in there as far as what you'd be responsible for, attending meetings, and that sort of thing. So just let me know so we can get those appointed. I can get specific information for you.
As this form says, has 2 annual meetings, 1 virtual and 1 held in a compact member state. So does that sound right? Two meetings? Okay.
But then I know there's also committees that you're assigned to.
Gotcha. Okay. So maybe more than just those 2.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So shall we move into administrative hearings? Okay, so we have a proposed settlement agreement. Joel Jones, Dr. Jones. Okay, this is an administrative hearing taking place on August 27, 2026 in room W064 of the Indiana Government Center Building, 402 West Washington Street, Indianapolis, Indiana, at 8:48 a.m. local time. It is being conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana as found in Indiana Code Title 4, Article 21.5. Before the Medical Licensing Board of Indiana, any cause docketed as administrative cause number 202606 MED 0027. The respondent's name is Joel Stephen Jones. The notice of time and place of this hearing was served to the parties required by law on June 29, 2026. This is a final hearing on the state's complaint, which was filed June 22nd, 2026. Will the official reporter designated for this hearing please stand and be sworn? Raise your right hand and state your name. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will keep complete and true notes of all that transpires in this hearing and prepare a complete transcript thereof from your notes and faithfully perform all the duties imposed upon you as an official reporter under the law of the state of Indiana? My name is Dr. Strobel, and I'm serving as hearing officer for this board. Following members of the board are sitting with me on this hearing: Dr. Dunaway, Dr. Busk, Dr. Maskin, and Dr. Burai. As a reminder, this hearing is open to the public and being streamed live on the internet. It is the responsibility of the parties and counsel to ensure any protected health information or other conditional information necessary to the party's case in chief be de-identified prior to disclosure. Failure to properly protect patient information could result in objection and exclusion of testimony to the witnesses. May we have appearance of counsel, please?
Ryan Eldridge, Deputy Attorney General for the state of Indiana.
And will Dr. Jones or representative be present?
I don't believe so.
Okay, go ahead.
The parties reached a proposed settlement agreement that was filed before today. Just briefly, I believe the board has it in front of them, but it's a case based on disciplinary jurisdiction from North Carolina. He has resolved all of the reciprocal discipline and the North Carolina discipline, minus the restriction on collaborative practice, but only that existing in North Carolina. As such, the state believes that a letter of reprimand is the appropriate resolution as to memorialize that his license was disciplined in another jurisdiction. And I would ask that the board approve this agreement.
So he has had multiple, it's kind of the domino effect, but all of those have been kind of restored and resolved except for the restriction in North Carolina.
Yes, and North Carolina is a little bit different than the state of Indiana. They are able to have a restriction without a probation on someone's license. So that is the reason that we have came to the agreement of a letter of reprimand, as he has resolved everything but that one restriction.
Yeah, and we don't believe any of these violations occurred in Indiana.
To my knowledge, there has been no action involving Indiana patients that was not uncovered in the course of the investigation.
So a letter of reprimand and a $5 records fee.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for counsel? Okay. These proceedings, according to notice, are hereby concluded. Discussion, motion? Dr. Bry motion, Dr. Maston second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Patel, Aman Patel. This is a summary suspension renewal and administrative complaint. Okay. I didn't approve it.
That has been happening with other boards. It sounds like it wasn't communicated around to everybody necessarily. It's certainly not at my advice, so I mean, I guess if they haven't handed another script, the med board's way, I think you can probably just keep going as normal for today. Cause it's, like, that was an IPLA initiative, so I'll leave it to them to keep communicating about that.
Okay. I mean, personally, I don't want to create more work for Margie, but I wouldn't be opposed to having some of our discussions and rationale kind of memorialized in the minutes.
I mean, obviously, we're all on video and this is all being captured
Yeah,
and
good point.
posted online anyway, so in terms of what goes into the actual record of the case, I'm sure there's a good thought process on it, but I haven't necessarily been caught up to speed on it, so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. This is an administrative hearing taking place on August 27, 2026 in room W064 of the Indiana Government Center Building, 402 West Washington Street, Indianapolis, Indiana, at 8:54 a.m. local time. It is being conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana as found in Indiana Code Title 4, Article 21.5. Before the members of the Medical Licensing Board of Indiana, any cause docketed as administrative cause number 202502 MED 0009. The respondent's name is Aman Kanti Patel. The notice of time and place of this hearing was served as provided by law on July 6, 2026. Notice was also given to the Office of Attorney General of the state of Indiana. This is a hearing to determine whether respondent's summary suspension should be extended. My name is Dr. Strobel, and I'm serving as hearing officer for this board. The following members of the board are sitting with me on this hearing: Dr. Dunaway, Dr. Busk, Dr. Maston, Dr. Barai. At this time, I will request that any board member who believes that he or she cannot give this respondent a fair hearing and render a partial decision to remove himself or herself from this hearing. As a reminder, this hearing is open to the public and being streamed live on the internet. It is the responsibility of the parties and counsel to ensure any protected health information or other confidential information necessary to the party's case in chief be de-identified prior to disclosure. Failure to properly protect patient information could result in objection and exclusion of testimony of the witness. May we have appearance of counsel, please?
Alex James for the state.
And Dr. Patel, are you present?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone.
And do you have representation by counsel?
No, sir, I'm a pro se.
Okay, so you wish to proceed without an attorney present?
Yes, sir. I don't have a financial backup to hire attorney.
And I presume you will be testifying on your behalf, so we might need to swear you in. Are there any other witnesses that you will need, Doctor?
Unless the board wants testimony from someone else.
No, I don't have any witnesses.
Dr. Patel, can we put you on camera so that we can swear you in?
Yes, sir. Sorry, my son is sleeping on my lap, so yes, that should be all right. Yeah, somehow I'm not able to start the video. Okay, yeah. Yes, I do. Thank you.
Statement.
Sure. So at its March 26, 2026 meeting, the board reaffirmed the granting of summary judgment for the state. And I'd also first like to put the respondent's practice in the state of Indiana into context. Respondent has not been practicing medicine in the state of Indiana, but he is a license holder. And today we will be determining what should happen with that license. Thank you.
Dr. Patel, would you like to make a brief opening statement?
Yes, sir. Yes. Again, good morning to everyone. And thank you for allowing me to appear. And, I have submitted some materials to the board. Just want to make sure that board has received it. Um, and I understand that, I have never practiced in Indiana. When I was holding almost 51 state license that time, considering I was helping many patients during COVID. And that's how I got 51 state license, so I can help everywhere else. And all this allegation or administrative hearing is as a result of whatever happened in Maryland. I was working as a locum interventional cardiologist, helping out a small town, and from one board complaint, considering I was holding a IM LLC license, most of the other board has started some kind of disciplinary action. Unfortunately, whenever those actions were happened, I was in jail. I was incarcerated, and I didn't have any legal representation or um, any kind of support, to represent myself from the jail. And that time I was, I was,
Dr. Patel, let me interrupt you for a moment. So this is just a chance for your opening statement, so we can get into the facts of the of the case here in a bit. Why don't we let the state's counsel go ahead, and then you can kind of present your information.
yes, sir, that should be all right.
Okay.
So I don't have any additional witnesses to introduce. I just have some argument on the facts that were presented in the motion for summary judgment that was granted by the board. So it's the state's position that had the admitted conduct occurred in the state of Indiana, that this sort of conduct would warrant revocation of respondent's license. So the state would like to highlight some of the admitted conduct by respondent. There were 4 female victims. Some of the conduct.
Mr. James, I'm sorry to interrupt. I believe you read the script for the summary suspension matter. Is it also including the administrative complaint as part of the same hearing?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
So there were 4 female victims. Some of the conduct highlighted in our motion for summary judgment was that respondent was sending inappropriate and at times sexually explicit text messages to female staff members. He was hugging female staff members with excessive force and frequency. He was forcibly kissing female staff members, face and neck area, and in some instances, grabbing their hair. He was groping female staff members' intimate body parts and exposing his genitals to female staff members, and having or attempted to have female staff members perform oral sex on him. It's important to note our precedent in cases where a respondent has engaged in conduct that is non-consensual and sexual in nature with female victims. I would represent that in such cases that the board typically revocation would be the sanction in those sort of situations. Again, this was non-consensual conduct. And again, I also like to highlight that in respondent's own response, he's admitted to the allegations. Thank you.
Dr. Patel, would you like to present your information?
Yes, sir. So whatever the respected Attorney General from the board side has mentioned, that were just the allegation. And that was the reason I did not sign the consent order. That was in January of 2025. I was still in India at that time, taking care of my father, who expired a couple of months after I got arrested. they asked me to sign the consent order, and I did not sign it because of the language where sexual assault, not non-consensual sexual allegations, and that was the reason I didn't sign the consent order. I came back from India to go for the evidentiary hearing, even though my attorney that time warned me that if you go further, there might be a serious consequence. He didn't tell me those consequences, but I told my attorney that time that the language is not right.
Okay, I'm going to have to object. We're not here to relitigate the Maryland voluntary surrender. Do you have any new evidence to present that hasn't previously been argued in that case?
Yes, so I have sent the exhibits, and when I signed the Maryland surrender, I was in jail, and that was in around, I would say, around May of 2025, where I was still dealing with the criminal proceedings. And if you can see the exhibits F and exhibits I, where the exhibit F is from the Board of Medicine in Maryland.
Hold on a second, Dr. Patel. Do we have these exhibits?
I have sent it to the clerk and also to the Attorney General. I have forwarded everything.
Okay, why don't you back up? So what was your first exhibit that you were referencing?
If you see the exhibits F, that is a permanent surrender documents. It's about 3 page.
Okay,
And
while we're tracking that down, so tell us what that exhibit says.
so because when I signed it, I was in jail, and again I didn't agree with the language, so I have redacted many sentences. And if you can see of the 3rd page of the document from the board, it says I understand and I comprehend. I redacted that part. Also on page 1st and page 2nd, I have redacted many things that you can see from exhibit I. That was the original document that was notarized.
No, I don't either. They're searching for them, OLM, they don't.
So Dr. Patel, we don't have these exhibits.
That is because I have sent almost 74-page PDF file to the clerk and also to the Attorney General from the board. And I
Do you
am,
have a date? Do you have a date on when you submitted these exhibits so we can search
yeah,
for them?
absolutely. The PDF should be August 14. That is sent to the, I'm sorry. To the Alex James and Rebecca Hammond, and also to the Ellie Clerk.
So I've received these documents, Mr. Patel, but did you ever file them with IPLA?
Yes, I have sent it to them too.
What specific email address for clerk do you have?
Uh, okay. Ellie Clerk at atg.in.gov.
Yeah, that's not PLA.
Okay.
Clerk at pla.in.gov is the PLA clerk, which is where
Okay.
exhibits need to be submitted.
clerk.pla. Is there a way I can forward it right now, or?
You can submit them. It'll take a while to get them all transferred for the board to be able to review them.
Just to shepherd this along. I am curious, so the nature of the evidence, or is this in the vein of sanctions, rather than relitigation of anything that's been tried in this case? Because we have passed the summary judgment point.
Is that a question to me, or?
Yes, I'm asking what you're trying to submit at this time. I'm basically trying to guide it to make sure that if we're gonna take the time on this, that it's actually relevant evidence to what we're actually deciding on here today.
Yes, sir. So because many things change after the permanent surrender to the Maryland. The criminal case has been finished. 74 out of 77 charges, including the first degree rape and everything, were dismissed. Only 3 misdemeanor charges I accepted as an offer plea for my freedom, so I can get freedom. I can get released.
So Dr. Patel, so that's what we talk about when we talk about relitigating this. There, we can talk about what you're accused of in Maryland, but then we can talk about the fact that your license was suspended or that you surrendered it in Maryland. The issue, I believe, state, is that he surrendered his license in Maryland. And
Yes, and part of that surrender, he admitted the allegations in the Maryland complaints.
I object that sentence, because if you read the surrender letter, I have never admitted. It's the board thinks that if they go to the evidentiary hearing, they have enough evidence. And considering the criminal case, everything was dismissed. I didn't have any way to fight myself from the jail to go for a evidentiary hearing without any backup. So that time I had only that options, including I talked to my criminal attorneys, and also I took a brief advice from the board attorney that.
Again, I'm going to have to object again. This is relitigating the Maryland case. State was already granted summary judgment. That was your opportunity to respond, Mr. Patel. You filed no response to our summary judgment, which was granted. Do you have additional evidence to present this today? Beyond
Well,
trying to challenge the Maryland order that has already been
right.
finalized.
And I understand. And that's what I'm trying to explain, that I was in jail until December 2025. Everything was, I didn't even have any clue where what the suspension was sent, where I was in jail. My house in Texas was sold. So I had no documents until I came out. And then I am just changing it backwards, going backwards and trying to explain myself on NPDB. And because when I was in jail, most of the medical board has decided some kind of summary suspension that arose from Maryland suspension. And as I said, when you're in jail for criminal charges, you can't do much. So now once I came out, this is what I'm trying to reach out each board and try to reconsider that many things has been changed, criminal charges has been dropped. I have done medical school in India, I have done medical school here. I have not a single patient complaint or anything before, not a single board complaint. To get 51 state license is hard.
Okay, Dr. Patel. So I'm gonna just try to reemphasize this to get you to understand. So as part of the summary judgment, the state used the surrender of your license in Maryland to make that decision. And as part of your surrender in Maryland, one of the items is that respondent acknowledged that for all purposes related to medical licensure in the state of Maryland, the charges will be treated as proven.
That is correct, but if that's what I'm trying to send the documents that was notarized in jail.
I'm
with
going to have to object because this is a collateral attack on a valid state judgment. If you disagree with that judgment, go to Maryland and challenge it. That's the correct remedy, Mr. Patel, or Dr. Patel.
So, yeah, so Dr. Patel, if you're accused of something in Maryland that you deny happened, then you need to go to Maryland and have those charges cleared up. Now, tell me again what happened with your criminal case?
Right. So as I said, when I started preparing for evidentiary hearing for Maryland board, because I was still not in jail that time, and everything happened in May of 2024. This is about consent order was sent January 2025. Came back from India end of January
Okay,
2025.
I'll ask again. What is the status of your criminal case in Maryland?
All the, as I said, 74 out of 77 charges were dismissed, and only 3 misdemeanor charges I accepted as an offered plea.
Three
So
misdemeanor?
misdemeanor charges, yes, sir.
And what were those charges?
It was an offered plea, second degree assault, and it was an offered plea means I did not admit guilt, but state thinks that if the case goes to the trial, they might be able to prove it. Similar to my Maryland permanent surrender letter for the board.
So again, I'm not to belabor this. Tell me what those 3 charges were. One was assault.
Yeah, all second degree assault, sir. All
So
3.
you have been convicted with 3 separate counts of second degree assault.
As an offered plea. Offered plea is you accept something for
Okay,
your
so you admit to it
freedom.
then. Okay,
Yes, sir.
but now you're saying that those second degree assaults did not occur?
No, I'm not. Yes, so that's what the meaning of offered plea is, that the convicted party doesn't accept the guilt. He's accepting the plea deal for a freedom, and state thinks that because, sir, 77
Dr. Patel, let me explain the difference between the standard of the burden of proof and a criminal versus civil. So in a criminal, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. So even though the prosecutor may have dismissed some charges, that's because the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt, and the prosecutor could have dismissed those charges for any other reasons. We don't know. The prosecutor's not here. However, this is a civil proceeding. The case in the Maryland was a civil proceeding, and the burden of proof is preponderance of the evidence.
and I agree, sir, right?
And you've already admitted to the conduct in the Maryland proceeding. So the burden of proof was met.
That's what I'm trying to say. I did not admit it. That's why I did not sign the consent order. All the 4 members you are reading it is a part of
Dr. Patel, we're going in circles here. If you dispute that these things actually occurred in Maryland, then you need to get them cleared up in Maryland. We are in Indiana, and we can't let you come to Indiana and say, well, those things in Maryland didn't happen. You should just ignore them.
I
You have
agree,
a
sir.
license in Maryland that was surrendered.
Uh,
Tell us about your other licenses.
Like Michigan allowing me to reapply in 6 months. My own My,
what's the status of your 51 licenses? Do
uh,
you have any license that is free and clear?
uh,
Can you leave your house right now and go practice interventional cardiologist in any state in the US?
well, there was like Rhode Island was active, and I, while renewing it, I I mentioned all these things to them. I have nothing to hide, sir. Right? I understand that
Okay, I'm
civil.
gonna ask again. Do you have a free and clear, active, unrestricted license in any state in
I
the
might ha-
US?
I might have.
It's a yes or no question. It's a
I,
yes or no question.
I don't know.
Yes or no?
I don't know, sir, because I have to go to each state website and check. So I don't have um, any way to check everything at one time. Um, I'm just trying to put myself. If it's only 3 charges were dismissed and 74, yes, I understand. I'm the same person, civil or criminal. I'm not a different guy. 74 charges were dismissed, sir. And only 3, and some of them are
Only 3 assault charges.
assault, second degree.
That's okay, right? So 3
that
assault charges, that's nothing?
no, sir, I'm not saying it. It was the offered plea. Let me explain you in simple things. January 2025, I came back. February, started preparing for evidentiary hearing. Mid-March, I sent subpoena to these people through the Maryland Medical Board, prepare for evidentiary hearing, sir. Within a week, I was arrested in Texas. And I was not arrested. I went to the police station by myself because they went to my ex house.
We don't need this information. This is not helping us.
Just trying to put myself. It's a very hard thing for me to.
The facts of the matter are that you have 3 criminal convictions for assault, and that you have a surrendered medical license in Maryland and probably other states.
I would just say so. It was misdemeanor charges. That was all for plea. I didn't admit guilt on my side. I think
You don't have to admit guilt. You were found guilty.
No, sir. It was all for plea. It was a plea.
I'm not a lawyer, Mr. James, but doesn't that mean he was guilty?
Well, the Alfred plea does maintain his innocence while accepting a sentence, so if we're taking him at his word that it was an Alfred plea, then that would mean that is a mechanism in criminal law where somebody can be sentenced without having admitted to the guilt of the act. Regardless of that, we do have things like the Maryland order that memorializes his interview there and the things that he said, but.
Yeah. All right, yeah, we're kind of going in circles here. Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah. Okay, so State, why don't you do a closing?
Yes.
Unless there's anything else you think that'll be important to add to this.
No, so I guess the state would also, in addition to having the revocation remedy, we could also propose that Dr. Patel be forced to have his license reinstated in Maryland and be indefinitely suspended until that license is reinstated in Maryland as an alternative to revocation, as a potential remedy also. Thank you.
So State's asking for revocation, but we also have a summary suspension renewal.
We have to do both, so we don't have that.
And Dr. Patel still gets a closing before.
Yep. So Dr. Patel, would you like to make a closing statement without going?
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. It's been a lot. Again, I really appreciate that giving me the opportunity to be here. And I understand that seriousness of this allegation. And as I said, that everything happened um, while I was in jail, and many things changed after. Even my own parental state, Texas, uh, license, they are allowing me to reapply as soon as October. Many other states are doing the same thing, 6 months to 1 year suspension, and they are asking me to go through the rehabilitation and complete the probation period and boundary course. And again, I never had a patient allegation anywhere in any of the 51 states. This was uh, something that arose from a relationship between a coworker uh, that leading to accusation that, as I said, 74 charges were dismissed and 3 were just a part of Alford plea. Um, and as I said, I was going to go for an evidentiary hearing with Maryland board, but after sending a subpoena through the Maryland board, I was arrested in a week. 1 year after all these allegations.
Tell us that, Dr. Patel.
Yes, sir. So what I'm trying to say is just allow me, I'm all right to have some kind of probation until I finish all the requirement to make sure that I am medically, mentally, and physically fit to practice without harming a patient or a public.
Okay, so that's your closing statement. Thank you, Dr. Patel. These
Yes, sir.
proceedings, according to notice, are hereby concluded.
May I make a motion? His license be definitely suspended till license is valid.
So state is asking for revocation. I know, a few board members in the past feel like that leaves a door open 7 years from now, which I think is true, whereas a suspension can go on forever. So a suspension can actually be a more permanent solution than revocation. Yes, so we need to. So we need, yeah, I think that's what, yeah. So we need to renew the summary suspension first, and then, so Dr. Bry, so do you want to do those separately? Okay, so let's have a motion then, for the renewal of the summary suspension. Dr. Bry, Dr. Maston, all in favor? And then again, revocation, suspension, probation.
He may not reapply for license.
Everybody okay with that? Dr. Dunaway, second. All in favor? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Dr. Randall, Benjamin Randall, is a petition for summary suspension. Okay, here we go. This is an administrative hearing taking place on August 27, 2026 in room W064 of the Indiana Government Center Building, 402 West Washington Street, Indianapolis, Indiana at 9:27 a.m. local time. It is being conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana as found in Indiana Code Title IV, Article 21.5, before the members of the Medical Licensing Board of Indiana, any cause docketed as administrative cause number 202608 MED 0033. The respondent's name is Benjamin Stephen Randall. Notice was provided to the respondent and the Attorney General's office as provided by law. This is a hearing to determine whether respondent's license should be summarily suspended based upon the state's petition for summary suspension filed August 18th, 2026. My name is Dr. Strobel, and I'm serving as hearing officer for this board. The following members of the board are sitting with me on this hearing: Dr. Dunaway, Dr. Busk, Dr. Maston, Dr. Barai. At this time, I will request that any board member who believes that he or she cannot give this respondent a fair hearing and render partial decision to remove himself or herself from this hearing. As a reminder, this hearing is open to the public and being streamed live on the internet. It is the responsibility of the parties and counsel to ensure any protected health information or other confidential information necessary to the party's case in chief be de-identified prior to disclosure. Failure to properly protect patient information could result in objection and exclusion of testimony of the witness. May we have appearance of counsel, please?
Rebecca Hammond, Deputy Attorney General on behalf of the state.
And any witnesses?
No, we have a voluntary summary suspension agreement before you that was filed a few days ago. So the state will simply request that you accept our agreement. You'll see on page 6, the timing is a little bit different since the board is not meeting in November due to the holidays. So we did agree to a limited period that will, we asked for it to be reset at the October 22nd meeting. So we agreed to a 56-day suspension up to that next meeting.
Gotcha. Okay. Any questions for counsel? So we accept this summary suspension agreement and then in October, see you again.
Correct.
Any questions for counsel? Close the hearing. This proceedings according to notice are hereby concluded. Discussion, motion? Certainly seems appropriate given the severity of the allegations. Dr. Maston, motion to accept. Dr. Bryce, second. All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a summary suspension renewal. Dr. Gerges. This is an administrative hearing taking place on August 27th, 2026 in room W064 of the Indiana Government Center Building, 402 West Washington Street, Indianapolis, Indiana, at 9:31 a.m. local time. It is being conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana, as found in Indiana Code Title IV, Article 21.5, before the members of the Medical Licensing Board of Indiana, any cause docketed as administrative cause number 202602 MED 0007. The respondent's name is Abdul Messiah K. Gerges. The notice of time and place of this hearing was served as provided by law on June 20th, 2026. Notice was also given to the Office of the Attorney General of the State of Indiana. This is a hearing to determine whether respondent's summary suspension should be extended. My name is Dr. Strobel, and I'm serving as hearing officer for this board. The following members of the board are sitting with me on this hearing: Dr. Dunaway, Dr. Busk, Dr. Maston, Dr. Barai. At this time, I will request that any board member who believes that he or she cannot give this respondent a fair hearing and render a partial decision to remove himself or herself from this hearing. As a reminder, this hearing is open to the public and being streamed live on the internet. It is the responsibility of the parties and counsel to ensure any protected health information or other confidential information necessary to the party's case in chief be de-identified prior to disclosure. Failure to properly protect patient information could result in objection and exclusion of testimony of the witness. May we have appearance of counsel, please?
Good morning, Board. This is Katie Kramer, Deputy Attorney General on behalf of the state of Indiana.
Kara Rochester, Deputy Attorney General for the state.
Okay. And do we expect the doctor or counsel to be present?
We do not.
Go ahead.
So the state has before you a motion actually to renew the summary suspension of respondent's medical license based on the language of the voluntary summary suspension agreement that was signed by a respondent on February 23rd of this year and accepted by the board on the 26th. Just to refresh your memories, that language states that the board may renew the summary suspension of respondent's license for successive 90-day periods until the earlier of a final disposition of this matter or petitioner's motion to vacate its petition, neither of which have taken place. That suspension was renewed on June 30th by way of an order from this board, and that was effective May 28th. Respondent and his counsel did not object to the filing of this motion here today, and so the state will respectfully request that the board approve and grant that motion here today. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for council? Okay, these proceedings, according to notice, are hereby concluded. Discussion, motion? Okay, and that's for 90 days. Okay, Dr. Dunaway, Dr. Bry, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Say probation withdraw, Dr. Harden, Darren Harden. This is an administrative hearing taking place on August 27th, 2026 in room W064 of the Indiana Government Center Building, 402 West Washington Street, Indianapolis, Indiana, at 9:35 a.m. local time. It is being conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana as found in Indiana Code Title IV, Article 21.5, before the members of the Medical Licensing Board of Indiana, any cause docketed as administrative cause number 2014 MLB 0007. The respondent's name is Darren Andrew Harden. The notice of time and place of this hearing was served to the parties required by law on August 7th, 2026. The purpose of this hearing is to consider the respondent's petition to probation withdrawal. My name is Dr. Strobel, and I'm serving as a hearing officer for this board. The following members of the board are sitting with me on this hearing: Dr. Dunaway, Dr. Busk, Dr. Maston, Dr. Barai. At this time, I will request that any board member who feels that he or she cannot give this respondent a fair hearing and render an impartial decision to remove himself or herself from this hearing. As a reminder, this hearing is open to the public and being streamed live on the internet. It is the responsibility of the parties and counsel to ensure any protected health information or other conditional information necessary to the parties' case in chief be de-identified prior to disclosure. Failure to properly protect patient information could result in objection and exclusion of testimony of witness. May we have appearance of counsel, please?
Rebecca Hammond, Deputy Attorney General on behalf of the state.
Tony Rodolfo, acting for
Your microphone on, bright green light.
And will the doctor or any other witnesses be testifying? Just the doctor. Okay.
I do.
Okay, so I think you get to go first.
Great, thank you. The board, as we know, may withdraw probation once it finds that a deficiency requiring discipline has been remedied or that changed circumstances warranted. We've submitted a packet that I'd like to just briefly touch on, and I'd like to start with how this began. In April of 2014, this board placed Dr. Harden's Indiana license on indefinite probation for at least 2 years. That discipline rested on a single ground, the reciprocal action by Kentucky taken against him for his opioid prescribing and record-keeping practices. The board set clear conditions. Dr. Harden was to remain compliant with the Kentucky order, refrain from prescribing controlled substances, satisfy financial conditions, not seek withdrawal of probation until the Kentucky license was fully reinstated and unencumbered, and provided that if he ever sought to modify his probation, he was to come before you and submit a plan for controlled substances. With respect to that condition, what's happened in Kentucky has clearly been satisfied.
Need to
Yep.
speak into the microphone.
Yeah, thank you. With respect to that final condition about controlled substance education and a plan, that has been satisfied through Kentucky. In the packet, you'll see in 2018, there's an amended order from the Kentucky board that required an approved practice location, supervised practice, strict prescribing limits, a controlled substance log, subject to consultant review. He practiced under the direct supervision of Dr. Reyes with quarterly compliance reporting to the Kentucky board. His prescribing and records were examined through favorable consultant reviews in 16, 22, 24, and compliance inspections in 21, 22, and 24. These are as described in exhibits C and E of the packet. Throughout, he's pursued CE, aimed squarely at safe opioid prescribing and pain management, and they're also part of the packet. We are here today requesting, full reinstatement. He's satisfied the terms of the probation, and Dr. Reyes, who's worked alongside him for the last 7 years, has submitted a letter. That's the last, I believe, last or second to last exhibit, Exhibit G. So we're here requesting the termination of probation and reinstatement, full and unrestricted. And Dr. Hart is here to answer questions.
You have to officially ask for the exhibits to be entered so I can give them to the board.
Oh, thank you. I
We'll let
request the
you do your
exhibits be
opening,
entered.
and then you can admit them if that's okay.
Yeah, please
Go
admit
to your-
exhibits A through I.
Why don't you go and do your opening, and then we'll get them admitted.
My opening is through.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
As council articulated, it has been a longer probation here. Your order was April of 2014. As he stated, it is his burden today to demonstrate to you that the deficiency that led to his probation has been remedied. Thank you.
Okay, so you would like to admit petitioner's exhibits
A through I, please.
A through I. All right, thank you.
The state has no objections to these exhibits.
Okay, thank you.
And is this the first time that the board is looking at the exhibits?
Yes.
Maybe I can run through them quickly.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest, is once you just kind of walk us through each one.
Exhibit A is your order from 2014. And the requirements are set out on pages 6 of the order, which I reviewed in my opening. That's what was required.
Yeah.
Exhibit B is a receipt reflecting that Dr. Harden paid the $500 as required. Exhibit C is the third amended order in Kentucky from 2018. And this walks through the Kentucky history. And if you turn to pages 8 and 9 of this amended order in 2018, it walks through kind of that plan I was talking about that he practiced under between 2018 and 2024. He practiced under the supervision of Dr. Reyes. There were quarterly written reports. His controlled substances was limited to 72-hour period. There was a log. There were consultant reviews required and some payment requirements in Kentucky. He practiced again under Dr. Reyes, or with Dr. Reyes, through today, in fact. So that's that exhibit. Exhibit D, back in 2012, he was required to take a course in Florida, I believe. And it's a continuing education report. Or actually, all the CE is set out in Exhibit D. Exhibit E is the more recent order from Kentucky. So this occurred in 2024, where he received a full and unrestricted license to practice in Kentucky, and they lifted those restrictions that were set out in 2018. And it reflects in the middle of it, the consultant reports were reviewed that I commented on, the compliance inspection reports, and that the order was terminated at that time. Exhibit F reflects his current CE on opioid practices and record keeping. Exhibit G is a letter from Dr. Reyes that reflects that he is confident he can practice without restrictions, and he's been practicing with him for a while. Exhibit H is the record from 2012 that he attended the course on narcotics as required by Kentucky back in 2014 or 2012. And Exhibit I, there's a requirement to pay the $5 fee. We had some difficulty confirming that because it's been so far. This is communication with the board, and I spoke with counsel, and I think she was able to confirm that payment was made. And I guess with that, I just have a few questions for Dr. Hart. Go for it. Please state your name, your profession, and your medical specialty for the board.
Darren Andrew Harden, medical doctor. I am a neurologist, however, I currently practice also urgent care and general medicine.
And when were you first licensed to practice in Indiana?
1996,
And you're also licensed in Kentucky. When did you obtain that license?
also 1996.
Do you understand why this board placed your Indiana license on probation in 2014?
Yes.
And what conditions did the board's order require you to meet while on probation?
I was not allowed to prescribe controlled substances. I had to pay the fines and also just keep my contact information updated.
And did you prescribe or administer any controlled substances in Indiana since then?
No.
And did you pay the fine as ordered?
Yes.
And the cost as ordered?
Yes.
Let's turn to Kentucky. What restrictions did Kentucky place on your practice and prescribing?
Originally,
Yes.
So the original order was at the time that it happened, I was actually working as a hospitalist. So the original order, a hospitalist. Yeah. So the original order, excuse me, the original order stated that I was only to practice in a hospital setting, prescribe controlled substances for 72 hours. And it also required that I wait 3 years before I apply to have it reinstated. We waited the 3 years, and at the time I had joined a practice here in Indianapolis, which is integrated care, which is chiropractic, physical therapy, that kind of thing. Did not require me to prescribe controlled substances or rarely medications at all, really. And so after 3 years, we waited and applied for reinstatement. It was a little bit of some difficulty with that because I was practicing in Indiana, but they said they were to review records from what I had. After we submitted the records about a year and a half later, we find out that they wanted me to return to Kentucky to review my prescribing practices.
And I take it that was because there was a gap in time where there was no prescription.
Correct.
being read. So
Yeah.
that's led to the order that is Exhibit C, is that correct? That I commented on. the
Yes,
amended-
yes,
okay, great.
yeah. There were other amended orders. I tried to work in a small hospital ER, but getting credentialed because of the restrictions and things didn't happen.
And why don't you walk through then, since 2018 through 2024, the work under this third amended order?
Yeah. So once a week, I was working with Dr. Reyes, and I would help him see his patients. Occasionally, we'd have patients referred from. Actually, this happened after 2020, but see patients referred from other providers because I could get them in fairly quickly.
And what steps have you taken to correct the prescribing record-keeping practices that led to the original dispatch?
Well, compared to what we used to do 20 years ago, as far as opioid prescribing, I don't do that at all. And as a matter of fact, I rarely prescribe medications more than a week, more as a kind of a bridge for somebody who's maybe their provider's out of town or something. And anybody else that I have that needs long-term pain management, I send them to the pain management doctors.
Have you completed continuing education on state opioid prescribing, pain assessment, and controlled substance record keeping?
Yes.
Having been monitored and cleared in Kentucky, how would you approach prescribing and patient documentation if your Indiana license is fully reinstated?
Well, I'd actually almost kind of like to keep it the way, because right now I can't prescribe anything in Indiana. I think I might like to keep it that way. But anyway, so it would be brief. If I do start prescribing in Indiana, it would be emergency prescriptions. And my documentation is much better. The course in Florida addressed that, and working with Dr. Reyes over those years under his supervision became much better as well.
And please tell us about your practice today in Indiana.
It's kind of like I said, it's kind of a hybrid. So I took my current position in Jeffersonville, Indiana, during COVID. So I was doing urgent care. And then as things kind of calmed down with that, I've started being able to do more neurology again. But also we were short of primary care providers, so I do that as well.
Is there anything else you'd like the board to know about your request?
I guess the exhibits speak for themselves. I've complied with everything, and I respectfully request that it be removed.
Just a few clarifying questions, Doctor. So you currently have no DEA registration, correct?
In Indiana, I do in Kentucky.
And do you have any plans to get that DEA registration here in Indiana soon?
Probably not soon. Yeah.
And I think you mentioned, the opioid prescribing rules have greatly changed. How do you feel like you've educated yourself on Indiana's specific opioid prescribing rules if you do start prescribing controlled substances?
Trying to stay below the required morphine equivalents, and documenting appropriately.
And have you familiarized yourself or would with our Inspect program?
Yes, actually, my practice actually will run those for us, and it goes to the patient's chart. Yeah, which is very nice.
And I was just curious if you could address, why did it take so long to petition off of probation? I think you've been off from Kentucky for a while now. So could you just share, was there a specific reason for that delay?
Almost a couple of months after the Kentucky restriction was removed, I did hire an attorney, and it just took a while getting the exhibits together and everything, I think.
And it sounded like you intend to still practice in both Kentucky and Indiana?
Yes.
The state has no further questions.
Give me redirect.
No, you're on. Thank you.
So just to be clear, Kentucky license is free, unrestricted, active.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Questions for the witness?
When you, doctor, when you first had the problems back in 2014, you said you were a hospitalist. What kind of hospitalist were you?
Neurology.
Neurology
Yeah.
hospitalist.
And that also, I would transition from private practice to doing our hospital, and part of the issues were trying to figure out what to do with those patients that I had been seeing previously, and going from the hospital to the hospital setting.
Which hospital was that?
University of Louisville.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. Want to do closing?
Dr. Hardin's complied with the settlement agreement and the board's order, and we respectfully request his probation be.
I concur with counsel, and the state would have no objection to withdrawal of his probation today.
Okay, these proceedings, according to notice, are hereby concluded. Discussion? We always tell people to go clear up your stuff in the other state, and that's kind of what he's done. Dr. Boss?
One thing that I don't think we've faced before, but I was found out that Dr. Reyes is on indefinite probation in the state of Indiana. Is that true?
Okay.
It was done his letter of
He just applied
recommendations.
for a license.
Yeah, I agree. He's he's checked all the boxes, and Kentucky apparently didn't have an issue with him having an unrestricted license. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and he probably, council's question, I think, was a good one, which is, you probably could have gotten this cleared up a long time ago, but, so. Okay, any other discussion or motion? Okay, so motion to grant withdrawal of probation. Dr. Barai? Dr. Dunaway, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Notice of proposed dismissal, David Nebling, DO. David Nebling? David Nebling. Johnson, what do we do now?
No, it's since it's a notice of proposed dismissal and it very much seems like Dr. Neblin has abandoned this appeal. So at this point, it's perfectly fine to just go ahead with dismissal. It's actually an automatic result at this point, given the lack of response to the notice. So I would suggest somebody make a motion to dismiss.
Dr. Maston? Dr. Dunaway, all in favor? Okay. All right. We want to take a break and then move into personal appearances? Marge, you weren't working you hard enough. So let's take about a 15-minute break. It is 9:55. Let's plan to be back here at 10:10, and we will move into personal appearances. So let's do personal appearances, initial application, Dr. Douglas, Lonnie R. Douglas. You want, and just make sure the mic's on.
Yes, there we go.
Okay, so Dr. Douglas, you provided us with a lot of information, which was very helpful. You are asking for a license in Indiana,
That's correct.
and briefly, kind of walk us through kind of these blotches on your record, guess I should say.
Where would you like for me to start?
The beginning, maybe January 2016.
In 2016, ordered growth hormone for myself off the internet. I was chief of sports medicine at U of L. It was just for personal use. Didn't think there was any, I didn't think it was an illegal act. I knew the FDA didn't approve it and didn't okay it, but I didn't think it was a criminal act. And frankly, it really wasn't. Nonetheless, when I realized my error, I came clean to everyone. I went to the board, to the U.S. Attorney's Office, to anyone that would listen and say, look, I screwed up, my bad, turned everything over. This is just for my use. Apparently, they had it in their heads that this had something to do with U of L athletics, and it absolutely did not. I basically threw myself on everyone's mercy and said, look, I'm guilty. I sure did it. I didn't think there was anything illegal about it, but I accepted the consequences. I was on probation for a year, and I paid a fine, and that was it. There was a misdemeanor that sounds sort of bombastic. I pled guilty to that because it was, I mean, I did the act. But it was a misdemeanor. It's a year of probation and a fine. If we fast forward, I guess to, I thought would probably be the more concerning thing would be in.
Let me just stop you for a second. So you did 1 year of criminal probation, And then your Kentucky license was also placed on probation?
Yes, sir. I was told the KBML said as long as I was on federal probation, I would be on probation with the board. I guess it was in April of next year that I came off of federal probation, per terms. And by that same token, I was taken off probation by the KBML when they met. I don't think they actually did it until about September. But yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so after that probation, your Kentucky license was reinstated?
It was just simply placed on probation, but the probationary terms were lifted. I never had any restriction placed on my license, but except the probation.
Probation is a restriction, I guess.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, so following your criminal probation, the KBML probation was lifted.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's move into the second issue.
Yes, sir. So I guess it would be in 2021.
Yeah.
I was in a child support dispute with my ex-wife. And she placed a complaint with the KBML under a false persona that assumed the identity of an attorney that I've never met, never known, doesn't exist for all I know. I had filed a false complaint with the KBML. They forwarded it to the Kentucky Physicians Health Foundation, and they pursued it. They asked me to come to their office for an evaluation. Basically, I went through this entire evaluation process. I don't have the growth hormone. I did that. I own that. I did the thing. I accepted it. I'm not been an impaired physician. I was not an alcoholic, not a drug user. Quite frankly, the results
What were the allegations in the complaint?
that I was a chronic and persistent alcoholic.
Okay.
I was sent for a 3-day evaluation in Colorado, which, if I'm speaking frankly, was a complete sham. I had that evaluation eventually reported and showed no signs of impairment, no signs of alcoholism. However, their editorial comments said otherwise. I had to be willing to have my license suspended simply to see my records because I knew something was seriously afoot.
Do we have that Colorado evaluation somewhere in this?
No, but I can certainly provide it. It's 181 pages.
And so what were the conclusions of that Colorado evaluation?
The outbriefing, I was told by this Dr. Montgomery, who's a psychiatrist who is remote in Texas, exact quote, we don't know if you're just stubborn, if your ADD is undertreated, if you're manic, or if your ADD is overtreated, but we do not feel you have the neurologic capacity to practice medicine safely. This went on an out briefing for about 5-10 minutes. I'm incredulous, and nothing they're saying makes any sense or has any medical basis whatsoever. It was at the very end of the out briefing that I asked, wait a minute, I was seen here for an alcohol evaluation. What's your take on that, Halls? Sputterings, but well, you certainly have tolerance. There's essentially nothing. I was left there with essentially a psychiatric or neurologic diagnosis, but still told I needed 90 days of inpatient rehab. Okay. I returned to Kentucky. I started thinking, well, that's interesting. I'm SAMHSA certified. I'm an addiction specialist myself. Nothing they did followed any protocol whatsoever. I want to see these records. I want to see how they arrived at this sort of bucket diagnosis, whatever this was. During that time period, within the next 7 days, I received a letter from the Kentucky Physicians Health Foundation telling me that I received a chronic of alcohol abuse severe and that I needed to, and I had 5 days to enroll in inpatient rehab for 90 days or my license would be suspended. I said, no, I'm happy to. If I need inpatient rehabilitation, I'd like to know exactly what for, because somehow in the course of the last 7 days, the diagnosis is more from, I don't know, ADD to bipolar disorder to stubbornness.
So was your license suspended then?
I was told if I hadn't enrolled by the 23rd of January, that my license would be suspended. I've been repeatedly requesting for records. I hadn't received them by the 23rd. Let them suspend my license until I can see my records.
So they did suspend your license?
They did.
Okay. So then what happened after that?
I got my records and everything that I felt was vindicated. It's pretty foul. There was evidence there that there was subterfuge. There was the medical director making a surreptitious phone call, feeding the facility, quite frankly, just false fabricated information, had nothing to do with me whatsoever, in an attempt to sort of poison the well. And her words, and that it was only lucky because there's a clinical psychologist that took the phone call, that thank God she dutifully recorded the contents of that phone conversation, which was obviously not listed, not recorded, not documented, and made via phone, presumably to evade, discovery. But now, and the false information that she supplied was never verified with me, never came up. I would have been blown away. Things like I had multiple DUIs. Never had a DUI in my life. That's just an example. There was a lot of it. But those things that she fed surreptitiously appeared over and over and over again in the report. After seeing all this and realizing this was a sham, and in fact, there was all the alcohol testing, including blood testing, everything showed no evidence of alcohol intake. My tests showed low social drinking at best, basically right above the detectable margin.
So yeah, again, this is all in Kentucky. So then so you were suspended in Kentucky,
That's correct.
and then what happened after that with your Kentucky license?
I requested a formal hearing because obviously this stuff had to be aired out. They had 6 months to give me the hearing. They waited 5 months and 28 days. I did have a 4-day hearing, 13 witnesses, 52 hours of testimony, where the hearing officer on FOIA request, just for context, there's been no judgment against Kentucky Board of Medical Licensure in one of these hearings in over 20 years. They only went back 20 years. The hearing officer is employed by the board. The hearing officer threw out everything and recommended dismissal of all charges.
So you went before the Kentucky board and that suspension was lifted?
No. That was the hearing officer's request, which they almost always rubber stamp and accept. In this case, they ignored it, changed the hearing officer's I guess if you were to say his final, like one line finding was, Dr. Douglas does not have, there is no evidence of Dr. Douglas having an alcohol disorder. The board just changed his final reading by one word. There is evidence Dr. Douglas has a chronic alcohol problem.
Okay.
And
Well,
they,
again, and this happened in Kentucky, so,
in Kentucky, yes, sir.
and
So-
so what is the status of your Kentucky license currently?
Fully restored. No restrictions. The board met in March. Essentially, I had to go for judicial review after this when the board just ignored their own hearing officer's advice, right? So this went through the courts for, a year and a half. We finally got it in front of judge to actually look at it. It didn't survive long. The judge basically threw it out, said there's absolutely no evidence here. This entire process has a persecutorial air to it, acted in an arbitrary, capricious manner, you name it. Was pretty scathing for judicial review. And the board, and reversed the board's decision. When the board met in March, they asked me to present myself in front of them personally. I did, and they didn't even ask me to speak. There was no discussion. They restored my license in full, like nothing ever happened.
And so when did that occur? When was your license restored?
Oh, it was fully, that would have been, they restored it at their meeting on probably March 17th of this year, 16th, 17th, something like that.
And do we have that somewhere?
I'm sure. Yes, actually, Kiko was asking for minutes from that meeting. The reason this has taken so long was they just published their meeting minutes. I mean, literally like 3 weeks ago. In their meeting minutes, it doesn't go, it doesn't go into any detail, but you can see there that, yeah, I've been practicing. In fact, the board issued a temporary work permit via their chairman, Rodman, on January 12th of this year, issued a temporary work permit so I could finally get back to practice. And then they made it permanent in their the board meeting in March.
Do we have an order from the Kentucky board?
There is no order.
Reason-
They literally just acted. They just restored my license and kind of just it's kind of bizarre. It
We
was
do
almost
have
like,
the minutes that substantiate that they at least made
I
that.
see that, yeah. And so can we verify somehow that his Kentucky license is active?
it's 48849.
So since March, you've had a free and clear license in Kentucky.
That's correct, sir.
And do you have licenses in any other states?
No, sir, you guys are the closest to me, so I came here.
And so what have you been doing since March?
I've been in private practice, sports medicine.
But what do you want an Indiana license?
I want to work, there's a nice surgery center right across the river, Metro Surgical Center, and for me to have privileges there, I need an Indiana license.
Active, unrestricted. Okay. And so do you do surgery?
I'm getting sorry, get in front of the mic. No, I've always had U of L, University of Health privileges. Obviously, those were, suspended when my license was suspended. They meet on, the 8th of September. It's my understanding I have my full surgical and, hospital admitting privileges restored. And then, yeah, I've got surgeries lined up.
Have you been operating in Kentucky?
There's no way for me to do that legally. You mean previous to my suspension? Yes, that's
Why?
correct.
Why?
Well, my license was suspended. I couldn't very well.
No, but since March, you've had a free license.
Yes, but I also had the hospital privileges, right? So it's, nothing happens in parallel. Everything happens sequentially, right? So I got my license restored and then I needed to get, I had to restore my MedPro, my Med-Mal coverage.
So have you gotten hospital privileges anywhere yet?
No, I literally, once I got my Med-Mal installed, then I went straight to U of L. There's a big central clearinghouse for doing licensure and relicensure and hospital privileges, Med Central. That process is notoriously long and torturous. Started with them in
Okay,
April.
anyway, so what is your plan at the surgery center? What types of things will you be doing?
I was a sports chief at U of L. Anything sports related, predominantly arthroscopy in the surgery center. We're talking outpatient things,
Okay,
ACLs.
so when's the last time you did an arthroscopy?
Let's see, it's been, when my license suspended, it's been about 3 years. I also in there have I went and had my surgical and medical, proficiencies certified that that there's no rust. That's the lifeguard report that's included in there.
So if we gave you a license in Indiana, you could ride across the river and start doing arthroscopies after not doing any for 3 years?
Yes, sir, I went to lifeguard and demonstrated my proficiency. I've taught people how to do arthroscopy all over the country. I wasn't just a scope-a-dope. Yes, sir, I can absolutely perform arthroscopic procedures. Probably won't do an arthroscopic ladder J right off the start, but no, I can certainly do arthroscopy.
So, Dr. Douglas, your privileges are pending at the hospital
That's
then?
correct.
So and any timeline you have for that? Do you know when MEC meets?
The U of L Health Credentialing Committee meets the first Thursday of every month. So I think next week be the 8th of September.
I have as a surgeon, I have a significant concern with the time out of the OR. I'm sure you're very knowledgeable about what you're doing, but you've been out of the OR for 3 years, and I think we all know our skills deteriorate. It concerns me, the thought of you going into a surgery center, because surgery centers have very limited oversight and proctoring abilities. I have some serious concerns with issuing an unrestricted Indiana license without having some proof or some documentation by medical staff of a hospital that the surgical privileges have been fully reinstated without any concerns.
I agree with you. I'd like to see him get hospital privileges, maybe a little proctoring where you have a little bit more oversight. That's my thought.
This is, you get Dr. Bosker. All this happened in Kentucky. You lost your privileges in Kentucky. You got your license suspended in Kentucky. And then suddenly you're coming to Indiana after how many years? And you want to do operations at a surgery center here that you've never done. I think Indiana's maybe not the place for you to get your training wheels off.
With respect
I know
to,
you're an expert. I know you're the chief of sports medicine at University of Louisville.
no, sir,
But you haven't operated in 3 years. I don't care how good you are. If you haven't operated in 3 years, we don't know if you've maintained those skills.
How can I demonstrate them?
Go back to Kentucky, get hospital privileges, and do some operations.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do I reapply? What would be my next step?
So
If it's, also if it's,
October. It's been here since October 25, so it's only got till October this year.
Okay. So we would probably deny your license, so it's probably best if you withdrew your application. If you came back at a later, I can't guarantee you this, but if you came back at a later time after 6 months or 12 months and they say he's great and he's flawless and does great work, then you could probably go to your little surgery center across the river, but I just don't think this is the place for you to get your training wheels off.
Application withdrawals are now reportable today.
They are.
When did that?
It's been a while, but we were just notified. through General counsel released them.
So can we just
letting
let,
it abandoned.
okay.
Just abandoned.
Okay, so we won't act on your license and the application will just be abandoned and.
I understand.
gather dust.
Thank you, sir.
And that way it won't show up as a mark on your record.
I appreciate that. I've had enough of them. Thank you.
Doctor,
thank you,
one other
doctor.
question I have. Are you board certified in orthopedic surgery?
Yes.
Okay, I saw somewhere where you had lost your certification.
I assume they would because no, my board certification, last we checked, was perfectly active.
Okay.
But the only thing they didn't take, so, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Joshua Foster? Okay, so you've been here before. You withdrew your application, and then it sounds like you maybe addressed some of the issues that were maybe contributing to your behavior. So tell us what has happened since you last appeared before the board.
So, been consistently going to therapy once a week, sometimes working on found a job in the meantime, working in a warehouse. Just working on my family relationships.
And you're a dietitian?
Correct.
And so what are your plans if you get a dietitian license in Indiana?
So I'd be looking for any positions for like outpatient care, telehealth, counseling, that I'd be looking to do. That was essentially what I was doing last year, but I need licensure for that. I did have some places that were hiring last year, but my background kind of concluded that even though I knew exactly what I did.
And so you got an expungement?
Correct. It was expunged,
Okay. And so you're not on probation or anything right now? Okay, any other questions from the board? So do you have records or information about the therapy and assessments and things like that that you've,
brought my therapist. He verified.
so for a dietitian, remind me what kind of mechanisms do we have for assessment or monitoring?
IPR.
Like a non-physician version of
Pharmacy board uses.
And that's like an assessment and almost like our PAP. I wonder if that's what we ought to do. So he can reach out to them and get that assessment. And then they, kind of like PAP, they will say, yes, these are the issues and this is the remedy.
or a request that they send it.
Okay. So if we table this until after he gets this assessment, can we do that or? And so how much time does he have? So for physicians, we have a physician assistance program. For a dietitian, the IPRP, and
Indiana Professionals Recovery Program.
the Indiana Professionals Recovery Program. So you can meet with them, they can do an assessment. They will actually give us a kind of summary of your, assessment and make recommendations for ongoing treatment, or they can say, yep, he's, remedied these problems and can begin working safely. I think for something like this, I think we'd feel a whole lot better if you got this IPRP evaluation.
Would you guys email me with the contact for that?
You can also go IPRP.
That's INPRP.org, for Indiana Professional Recovery Program.
And I don't know how long that takes, but we can actually table your application, and then once you get that assessment, then you can come back before us.
So it's INPRP,
Yeah, .org.
.org.
that's how I would set up the,
You just contact them to make an appointment,
thing.
ask for,
Let them know that the medical board had referred you.
Okay,
okay?
and then once you guys get that, do I need to come back in for that, or would you guys just make? the
We
decision?
probably want you to come in,
Come in?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to table the application. Dr. Maston, second. All in favor? Okay. All right, thank you. Dr. Anochi? Did I butcher your name?
No.
No, not bad? Okay. So Doctor, why don't you kind of just walk us through your training, kind of beginning it in medical school? Kind of give us a chronology, maybe.
Okay, so started with,
Is that mic on, by the way?
yeah, it's on.
Okay, just make sure you.
Okay, so started with Saba University. I went in for my basic sciences back in 2009, and then I was dismissed from that school because of difficulty with some of the classes, and I was having a lot of financial issues, so there was a lot of stresses there. So I transferred to AUA. Completed all of my basic sciences there up until prior to taking the step one. From AUA, I couldn't afford the tuition anymore, so I had to transfer to Avalon to complete my clinical rotations. So I did all of my clinical rotations in West Virginia from 2015 up until graduation in 2017.
So you graduated medical school in 2017,
Yes,
and that's from Avalon?
yes, Avalon University.
And
I
you
didn't
did
have any course issues or failures, anything like that. And then from 2017, I began taking some of my board exams. I did take my initial USMLE in 2015, and then took step 2 CK, passed that in 2019, and then CS in 2017, prior to applying for residency. And during that time, I was working and volunteering at a outpatient healthcare facility as well.
Okay.
And then I ended up prior to matching into residency, I had a limited permit in New York, where I worked at a nursing home during COVID time between 2021 and 2023. And I do have the permit with me. I applied for residency in 2022, and I matched into residency in Philadelphia, and I just completed it in June.
Okay.
And I also passed my board exams in April this year,
You passed your board
my
exams.
family
okay.
medicine board. Yeah.
And it looks like you have some very nice letters here.
Thank you. I also served as chief resident from 2024 to 2026.
Okay.
My PGY 2 and 3 years.
And what are your plans for Indiana?
I'm interested in outpatient, full spectrum family medicine and preventive care. I don't have a full permanent position right now, so I'm working with an agency to do locums for the meantime until I have my license completed and I can work towards a full-time position. But I'm interested in preventive medicine, outpatient, and women's health.
And so, why Indiana? Do you have connections here or family or friends or?
Yeah, I do. One of my letters is actually from a friend of mine who we work together in New York, and he currently works as a hospitalist. And he's told me a lot about great things and opportunities for especially underserved population in Indiana if I wanted to do full spectrum outpatient. So I do have a lot of support here. And to start my full attending job, I feel very comfortable just having that support and someone to talk to.
Okay, any other questions for the doctor? So she's had kind of a choppy training, but she got her, passed her exams, did a residency, passed her boards, and has really good letters. How big is that residency program you were in?
We're a class of 18, 6 per class.
Yeah. And were you in Philadelphia or where?
Yeah, I currently reside in Philadelphia and in my job search here.
Yeah, and it looks like a fairly reputable hospital too, so. All right, any other questions? The doctor, thoughts?
I took it the letter of recommendation from Indiana IU Health Arnett is your,
I'm sorry,
you have a letter of recommendation from IU Health Arnett?
So that's somebody, Dr. Achalu, who she worked with at
Oh,
in
yeah,
Pennsylvania.
That was Pennsylvania.
So he was in Pennsylvania and now is in Lafayette.
yeah, he currently works here, yeah. Yeah, that's the doctor.
And you would want to do outpatient primary care?
Yeah, full
Yeah.
spectrum outpatient.
Okay. I think it looks actually pretty good. I mean, yeah, and she was chief medical resident in a class of 6, you know, or a class of 18, so. Must be halfway decent. Okay, I will make a motion to issue the license. Dr. Dunaway, second, all in favor? All right, good luck, doctor.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Pandit? Okay, so. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Good morning.
Go ahead. Why don't you tell us why you're here?
Good morning, sir. So in 2023, so I live in Colorado and I've been doing inpatient rehabilitation medicine. I'm a staff physiatrist. And so in 2023, my privileges were revoked and terminated for an allegation of sexual harassment that happened in 2023. I wasn't provided much information regarding this. I was just told that I had engaged in inappropriate banter and jokes in the workplace, and which I vehemently denied. And so my privileges were terminated. During that time, the Colorado Medical Board, they conducted their own independent investigation they subsequently dismissed the case. But I went ahead after the termination and enrolled myself into a professional boundaries course just to make sure that, you know, if I was doing something wrong, if I was interacting, you know, in the wrong manner towards anybody, if I made anybody feel uncomfortable, that I wanted to rectify that. Again, without information that was provided to me, I just went ahead and did this myself. Since then, sir, I've been working as the medical director of Abode Hospice in Colorado. I'm the medical director for the Colorado Springs branch, the Denver branch, as well as the Pueblo branch. I've also been working as a physiatrist in the subacute rehab setting in rural Colorado. I'm currently working in 4 facilities. I'm the medical director of one facility in Monte Vista, Colorado, which is 3 hours south of Colorado Springs. Subsequently, I'm going to be moving back home to Louisville. That's where I'm originally from. There's a rehabilitation hospital that's starting up in Clarksville, Indiana. And so US Physiatry hired me, and I disclosed all this information to them. I've disclosed this information as well to Novus Rehabilitation Partners, who is going to be starting this hospital in Clarksville. And I provided a letter of dismissal from the Colorado Medical Board. And so they are, so just with all this information, they still wanted to pursue me as the medical director of this inpatient rehab facility, which will be starting in October, like early October. And therefore, I just required an Indiana license.
And so do you have a Kentucky license currently?
No, sir. I'm actually applying for that, and I'll be in Kentucky next month, in 3 weeks. But this will all be in Indiana.
Your primary practice location is going to be in Kentucky, but you're just going to be,
In Clarksville.
also your primary practice location is going to be in Clarksville?
Clarksville, correct.
Oh, I see. Okay. And the Colorado board took no action
Correct.
against your license? it looks
Correct.
like. Okay, any other questions?
How many licenses?
Lawyer, attorney,
Attorney and Brian Good.
Okay.
And I would just briefly know, we provided the letter from the Colorado Board verifying dismissal. And we did provide the itinerary from, he took really, I'm sure you're familiar, it's a gold standard boundary, 3-day boundary course. And we provided the itinerary as well. And a letter from his employer, prospective employer, verifying that he disclosed with candor his situation. And they obviously want him, and they're advocating for his licensure. So we're hopeful that this board will find that he's an appropriate candidate for unrestricted licensure.
How many active licenses do you have right now?
Colorado, sir.
Just one?
Colorado, correct.
That's free and clear?
That's where I'm right. Yes, yes.
and I think I saw it in here, but you did say that your prospective employer is aware of the issues in Colorado?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Sorry.
Your prospective employers are aware of the allegations in Colorado?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yes, and they note that in their letter of support.
Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere.
And I'm correct, you trained at the University of Louisville and
Yes, sir. I did my residency in internal medicine, then I switched over to PM&R.
there at University of Louisville?
Correct, yes, sir.
So you know the area?
I do, sir.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going there in 3 weeks, it sounds like, so. Okay, any other questions? That, okay. Okay. Discussion, motion? Back on away, motion to issue license. Dr. Maston, second. All in favor? All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Samba? Krishna Samba? Okay, so it looks like it took you a bit to get your USMLE step 3 completed. Yeah. So again, maybe just kind of walk us through the chronology of your kind of training and so forth.
So,
When did you graduate from medical school?
yeah, I graduated from India. That was in 1983. And my internship was 83 to 84. And then I did a residency anesthesia in India. And then I went to Barbados. That's where I practiced my anesthesia. Then I moved to US. I did my anesthesia residency, University of Kentucky.
And when did you complete that?
That was, I finished in 2003.
And then what have you been doing since then?
And then I did pain fellowship for 6 months. So because of my immigration situation changed, so I took the job of anesthesiology and I was practicing in Ohio. And then I moved to another hospital, that's Fort Hamilton Hospital, since I was working 2008 to present date.
2008 till when?
So I was practicing anesthesia 2003 to 2008 in Wayne Hospital in Greenville, Ohio, and 2008 to present date at Fort Hamilton Hospital in Hamilton, Ohio.
Okay, so you've been practicing in Ohio for almost 20 years?
Yes, sir, since 2003.
Okay. All right, and I think you had an explanation for why it took you a while to get your USMLE steps passed?
Yes, sir. So I think if I'm recollecting, I think I passed the USMLE step 3 on third attempt. That was the question they raised it, so.
Yeah. And why do you want an Indiana license?
Currently I'm working as a full-time job, so I'm planning to do more of flexible scheduling. So I want to go for a locum anesthesia job.
And there are
So,
opportunities in Indiana or?
sorry?
There are opportunities for locums in Indiana?
Yeah, there are some, yeah.
Okay. And do you have, go ahead.
Currently, I only have one state licenses, that is Ohio. That's the only thing which I applied all these years. So since I'm thinking of locum, so I thought I should have more states licensing. And I'm in Ohio, so Indiana is close to me, so I applied. There are more locum anesthesiology jobs available.
Doctor, did you just say that you passed the USMLE step 3 on the third try?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess I was just confused because the documentation in here indicated more than 3. Yeah, because the rule language is pretty rigid in terms of meeting those requirements and not necessarily providing a lot of discretion, so I just was not sure.
I mean, it looks okay. I think, again, when it takes a while to get that step 3 passed, you just want to make sure that the knowledge base and so forth is there, but he's been practicing, it sounds like, competently for a long time. I mean, have you ever had any other issues with your privileges or malpractice or anything like that?
None.
Yeah. Okay. I think it looks okay. Okay, Kiko. All right. All right, I'll make a motion to issue license. Dr. Busk, second, all in favor? All right, thank you, doctor.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Shaquille, Omer Shaquille. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember this too. So you're in your training program, had some health issues with sleep disorder and so forth. And when was that? Okay. And so initially, Massachusetts took action against your license?
Hopkins most recently. So I have about 7 years of training that has been done successfully without any recurring incidents. Since my diagnosis, I've been under full treatment and compliance with my treating physicians since 2017, most recently by Dr. Early at Hopkins, and all of whom have maintained that I am fully fit and able to practice medicine safely.
Okay. And so did you just complete your training or you've been practicing?
I just completed my fellowship from Hopkins. So I've been in training essentially since 2020. I did a pre-residency fellowship in neurology at University of New Mexico, then my training in neurology, adult neurology at Baylor in Houston, and then most recently my fellowship in pain medicine from Johns Hopkins in Baltimore.
And what are your plans in Indiana?
I've accepted a position with Deaconess Hospital System. I will be practicing at their Henderson facility in Kentucky, as well as helping out with their locations in Evansville at the Gateway Hospital. And if I may add, all of this has obviously been fully disclosed to my employers who've been very supportive and have obviously submitted a very detailed letter of support to the board.
How many board certifications do you have and which?
So I'm board eligible. I have not yet taken my boards. I plan to take my neurology boards next year and then my pain medicine boards the year after.
So you're going after two certifications, pain management and
Neurology, correct. Adult neurology.
Motion? Dr. Dunaway, motion to issue license. I'll second. All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay. We can move into waiver requests. So Dr. El-Hanawi, Ashraf El-Hanawi. Okay. So you have not gotten any US ACGME postgraduate training? So why don't you walk us through your training?
First of all, I'm a US citizen by birth. I did my medical school and general surgery residency in Jordan. And then I came back to the US. I did transplant surgery fellowship training in University of Miami in Jackson Memorial Hospital for 2 years. And then a third year of transplant surgery fellowship at the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. Transplant surgery training is only accredited by the American Society of Transplant Surgeons in the US. And I have completed those trainings. I have the certificates. And then after that, I acquired Ohio medical license and I worked at the Ohio State University for 7 years as a faculty in the Department of Surgery as a transplant surgeon. Then I moved to Gainesville, Florida, as an associate director of the kidney transplant program, and I had the Florida license issued also at that time. And then I went to Dubai, worked for a year and a half. That job was not as I expected, and I was recruited back to University of Chicago. And I started working the beginning of April this year as the surgical director of the kidney transplant program, and I have the Illinois medical license. And part of our work at UChicago, we cover the Crown Point facility where we have a clinic that's covered by a transplant surgeon twice a week. Twice a month. And the goal is for me to practice in that clinic to try to help more patients, get evaluated and taken care of for transplant.
So your last employment was in Dubai?
Before University of Chicago, yes.
Okay.
But currently, I'm working University of Chicago as the transplant kidney transplant surgical director.
Gotcha. Okay. And so how long have you been practicing in Chicago?
April 1st was my first day in work this year.
His employment agreement is from November of 2025 through 2030, so he has a 5-year employment agreement, the initial term of the agreement.
Or not? And so you have licenses in Ohio and Florida still, and Illinois?
Yes. Yes, they're all up to date.
Okay. Any questions, board?
Order compelled him to be in Florida, this hospital for 1 year. Looks like he did that. So explain to me the Florida order. Was that because of the non-approved ACGME? So they compelled you to be at that one hospital for a year?
Yes,
Is
yes,
that
they
right?
wanted me to be at the University of Florida
Right, okay.
hospital after 1 year, and then I got that done. I have a full license now.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And I had reviewed everything in this file previously. We just didn't have the employment contract.
Gotcha.
So I just
Got
was
it.
looking through that, so that all fits.
So do we have the employment agreement?
Yes, and it's a 5-year agreement. It's 2025 to 2030.
Okay. Okay. So no ACGME accredited training, but it certainly looks like he is showing the ability to practice competently.
And as he stated, there's no ACGME accredited transplant program.
Yeah. Okay.
He's got nice letters of recommendation.
So you're going to be practicing mainly in Chicago or outside of Chicago?
Yes, in the University of Chicago.
But there's a clinic in
Crown
Indiana.
Point. Yes,
Okay.
in Crown Point.
Yeah,
We
Crown
have
Point.
U Chicago facility
Yeah,
there.
because that's a small hospital.
We just covered, my understanding is that I'm covering the clinic, to see patients, recruit
Right.
them, and then they come to our facility in Hyde Park, Chicago.
Gotcha.
Okay. Looks okay. Dr. Dunaway, Dr. Maston, all in favor? All right. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Dr. Gulkus, Samet Gulkus.
Good morning.
Hello. So again, no ACGME accredited training.
Right.
But why don't you tell us what you've been doing while I dig through your, sorry.
So my journey in the United States started in Boston for my first fellowship, clinical fellowship training. That was in Johnson Diabetes Center for the medical retina. And then it took 1.5 years. Then I switched to another fellowship training that was at Boston Children's Hospital for pediatric retina patients. So then I completed my 2 years of pediatric retina clinical fellowship training, and then I would like to, look for a job to serve in the United States. And in the meantime, I also applied for EB1, so which is a path to apply for green card to make you authorized to work in the United States. And then, so my searching for job ended up in the Indiana. And then I had an agreement with the Center for Sight. The owner, Dr. Beffer, is here. So I'm planning to serve in that center per agreement at least 3 years. So mostly I'm gonna practice for patients with the medical retina issues, as well as, both adult and pediatric patients. As far as I know, there's a high demand of care when it comes to the medical retina service, not only for adults, but also for pediatric patients. So I believe intentionally, I will do my best to serve here.
And when did you complete your fellowship?
Sorry, I couldn't understand. Can you-
When did you complete your fellowship?
So the first one completed end of July 2024. June 30, 2024. And then I switched to Boston Children's Hospital, and then it took 2 years. So the last time, when I completed fully, that was June 30, 2025. 2026, sorry.
And so you completed your fellowship training about a year ago?
No, this June. So that was second year of the pediatric retina fellowship, right?
Gotcha. And it looks like there's an eye center here in Indiana that wants to employ you?
Yes, correct.
That would be me. In ophthalmology is the same. We don't have ACGME accredited fellowships, so it's kind of the same thing. So, Dr. Gol has also practiced in Turkey for 5 years, and I've firsthand seen his surgical skills. So, I would not be here if I didn't believe in his ability to do what we need, which is medical retina, and I have a comprehensive practice. And I just can't handle the burden anymore because it's just getting too voluminous.
Where are you located?
We just moved our practice to Zionsville, so I've been serving that area for 25 years. So northwest side.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I answer your question? Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah, did you say you're on HB1?
You're on a visa?
No, his application, I'll speak for him, his application, his point was that a lot of the paperwork that's in there was in support of him getting his green card, which he did. So he is now a US citizen.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
And I would ask if we could get a non-waiver license, that would be lovely.
Well, yeah, I don't think the waiver is a license status in particular. You either grant the waiver or not, so.
Yeah, it doesn't show up as a waiver, as a restricted license or anything. It's basically an unlimited active Indiana license. So is there a reason why you asked for a non-waiver license?
For me personally, it was just time to come down here. I think it said I need to appear once a year, I think. Is that what I read?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And that was, this is my surgical day too, so.
Fairly have to reappear. We just need an update on
Okay,
on his employment status.
all right,
And, the rules are he can't get his Indiana license and then move down the street or whatever. He has to stay with you and your practice.
right, that's why we have a 3-year
You guys are
contract.
stuck together.
Happily.
Okay, I'll make a motion to issue license on waiver. Dr. Dunaway, second. All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Rakana Tap Tap, Dr. Tap Tap?
Good morning, Dr. Strobel and all members. My name is Rokana Taftaf. I'm here to request a waiver for the the requirement that said all steps of U Assembly must be taken and successfully passed within a 10-year period. However, I took my step 3 literally 10 years and 6 days beyond that limits. So part of the requirements for the waiver, I provided a lot of recommendations. I am committed to a 3 or more year of service in an underserved area, and my employer here is with me today, Dr. Beavis, and she'll introduce herself or if you have questions.
Okay, she looks like you gave us a chronology of your tests. So why did it take a while?
So Literally, I graduated from medical school. So I was born here. Let me start a little bit, a little bit of background. I was born here. I'm a U.S. citizen. I went when I was 8 years old to Syria. I graduated from medical school there in 2012, and then I came here. Took some time to take USMLE. I applied for a master's of pathology. In the meantime, I was in Cleveland with my husband, and so studying the master's and then also transferring to doing PhD. It's really demanding. It was full-time job. It literally took, I didn't have time to finish step 3 right after. I was ECFMG certified in 2017. However, the demands of PhD didn't allow me to take it. And also, I took my step 3 first year of my residency at University of Toledo in 2022, right at the end of my first year. That's when I went back to patient care. So I took step 3 at that time. So that is why it took 10 years and 6 days.
So did you take step 3 and not pass at any
I
time?
passed from first attempt. I did.
Pass first attempt.
First attempt, step 3.
Okay, so you were getting your PhD and doing other things.
I did master's, PhD, residency, University of Toledo. I did fellowship also, just finished in June, breast pathology fellowship at Northwestern University. I was also an instructor. I already had sign-out privileges. I was signing out cases literally 3 months after I started. And now I accepted a position at assistant professor at University of Chicago starting October 1st.
Maybe University of Chicago be like the Bears and move into Indiana. Sounds like. We certainly have move it across the border. Might be a sore point for some people. Okay, well, I think getting a PhD is a reasonable excuse for taking a little bit longer. And she passed on first attempt. I presume you need her.
Yes, thank you for hearing us. I am Kathleen Beavis. At the time of Dr. Taft's application, I was the vice chair for clinical academic affairs in the Department of Pathology. I'm currently now the associate dean for all appointments in the Biological Sciences Division at University of Chicago. And again, I'm here to support her application and to answer any questions that you might have about it.
Why do you need Dr. Taft?
She's really good. So it's really hard to find breast pathologists. We posted for this position in February 2025. As part of our outreach, as part of our search narrative, we reached out to over 35 department chairs and other experts, asking them to recommend people to apply. We also directly contacted 25 people and directly asked them to apply to the position. Again, these positions are very hard to fill. We were very lucky to find someone in our own backyard. And our goal is to have Dr. Taft work with the breast cancer diagnostics that need to be made in northwestern part of Indiana. So Indiana and the US have about the same death rate from breast cancer, but the northwest part of Indiana is a little bit different. And the death rate from breast cancer is about 20% higher in this part. So anyway, we're looking forward to having her work with, cancer diagnosis in northwest Indiana.
And so will you be physically working in Indiana, or you just need Indiana privileges to?
So from what I understood is that I'll be physically in Hyde Park in Chicago. However, we get the specimens from Northwest Indiana and Crown Point.
Yeah, that's going to be my kind of assumption. Okay. We need Dr. Barai here.
Just to flag one thing legally, and it shouldn't prevent you if you're of a mind to approve this. A waiver on a rule is a little bit tricky because the waiver provision specifically provides for statute. I think it's perfectly defensible here if you want to do it. If you have somebody who has completed all of the requirements and it's just untimely, it ultimately just comes back to waiving the exam requirement altogether, I think. So because they have functionally done everything that you need them to. So I think that's fine. I'm mostly just flagging it for future purposes in case we have something that's otherwise looking for a rule waiver, that we might have to consider it differently. But if you want to do this, I'm perfectly in support.
Okay. Well, and as she noted, 6 days.
6 days, I swear. I also have Ohio and Illinois license.
Okay, any other questions?
I take it a 3-year contract,
Four. It was a 4-year contract.
4-year, okay.
Okay. Looks okay. Motion? I'll make a motion to issue license on waiver. Dr. Buss, second. All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good luck to you.
If I can ask what the future requirements are, I had read a letter annually that Dr. Taft is still employed. Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That- Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Where's our girl?
At lunch.
Can we close the meeting?